Nisha, how you doing this evening?
I'm great. How are you?
I am well. Thank you for being a part of Oakcliff Beach. You're the first teacher, and hopefully the first teacher of many, because I've been always wanting to talk to a teacher on the cast. So, thank you for coming out virtually to this little shindig here.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm honored.
Well, shoot, you should start off with telling the people, I guess, what do you teach and a little bit, yeah, give us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm a teacher currently at South Oakcliff High School. I teach business, so I'm currently teaching global business, principles of business, and accounting too. Um, I've been a teacher for 4.5 years. About 4.5 years. Um, I love what I do. It's a struggle right now, but I can honestly say that I love being a teacher. I think that's pretty much it. I've been at SOC for this is my second year there. Before I was at SOC, I was at Spruce in Pleasant Grove, and I was there for 2 years. Um, and I subbed before I became a teacher just to kind of get my foot in the door to see what I wanted to do exactly. And it just brought me to where I am now.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Like when you say struggle, I take it you're saying struggle because we're in this weird world nowadays, and yeah. How are you doing your classes? Are you doing your classes in person with I guess precautions, or are you doing virtual?
So we're doing a hybrid method right now. So some kids are in the classroom physically, and the majority of them are still at home. So I am teaching face to face and virtually. I'm actually currently teaching from home because my daughter got exposed to COVID at her school. So
Mm.
she's at home. But if it wasn't for that, I would be physically in the building. I'm there unless something else happens.
Okay, okay. With me not being in school, with me not having any kids in school or any of that too, like
Mhm.
you only thing I know is what the media feeds you, and normally, the way that goes is pretty trash. But it's just it's cool to hear the on the inside because I know most people are working with that. Hey, if we can get you in the building, we can get you in the building. Which I still have my personal quarrels with. I don't think we should be as I don't know. I don't think it should be as I don't know. It just seems like we're real quick with just putting everybody back in the buildings like that.
Yeah, I feel the same way too. And to be honest, we don't have everything we need to be cautious um, of the virus. But we make the best out of what we got. So I keep my distance. We do the 6 feet. Make sure my students are wearing their mask in the classroom. I'm disinfecting as much as I can, but it's really a struggle and it's scary because we've had teachers and students who have come in contact with the virus and they've been into the building. So it's like, did I come in contact with that person at any time, or was
Mm.
I in an area where that person was at any time? So you're very cautious at all times. I can honestly say that.
The weirdest part for me when I think about it, because when you said sock, I mean, I went to both Townview and Carter,
Hmm.
and when you think about Carter, you think about that whole thing that has always been present when it comes to the blacker schools. If they had a hard time giving people textbooks, I would imagine that there would be that same parallel when it comes to giving people PPE. So I just wonder because I haven't done any research to see what a school elsewhere looks like compared to a school in the cliff would look like, as far as the precautions go and what all is being done to take care of it.
I can honestly say it varies from campus to campus. Um, I don't think that the district has done enough to protect teachers and provide the PPE that we need. We got masks and we got Lysol wipes and spray, but we went in back into the classroom, the governor promised that we would have PPE constantly coming in, but it's not that constant. You know, you have the teachers that are going out and buying their own cleaning supplies
Mm.
because we're not provided with those things. So I've spent money, and luckily I've been, I guess, blessed because I have had people in my family that have donated wipes. I've had people donate hand sanitizer and spray so that I can be protected. But I can't say the same for my students. They're not as
Mm.
protected as they should be.
I thought that's always been crazy, and it so a bunch of myths because growing up, my dad he worked as a custodian at a school one time that I went to, and he
Mm-hmm.
would always give us the inside 411 what's actually going in, and basically he would drop those bombs on us as a kid, which was like, hey, this is what the teachers are really saying in the teachers lounge. This is what's really going down in the teachers lounge. And then when you take those same questions and you ask a teacher as a kid going to the school, they always go, "Oh no, no, you're not a check. You're not a dollar sign." So this is the perfect time to ask a real teacher what's really good.
You know what? I'll be honest. To some teachers, this job is just a check. It's money that they have constantly coming in every month. I can't say that I'm one of those teachers because I really am passionate about the things that I do, the things that I teach to my students. Um, I absolutely love my kids. I'm joking around with them as much as possible. But this year has made it so much difficult to really get to know my kids because half of the time I'm like, I don't even know what you look like in person. I mean, we go joke around on Zoom, but you come into the building and I'm like, oh, that's what you look like. I don't even know what you look like because you're wearing a mask or whatever it is. Yes, that is true. Some teachers believe that this job is just the paycheck, but not all. I
I
can't put
I
all
know
those
that one from
teachers out there.
experience too. There was a gentleman. I'm not gonna call his name because that's no reason to do that. But there was a teacher in my school who pretty much admitted that the only reason he was teaching at our class in Carter was because he took a scholarship, and the scholarship you basically got paid to go to school, so you could. But the way that you had to pay it back was you had to go teach at a school. I'm not sure if it was like in the district or exactly what exactly the rules were, but you had to go teach at a school. I think it was that like it had to be in that district, and they got a scholarship for that. And that means that teacher was only there because they were trying to fulfill their scholarship. And when you hear that from someone, it's just like, yeah, that freaking sucks. That freaking sucks. I don't even know how you weed that out. I don't even know if that would be a thing. I don't. That would suck if that was ever a thing. If you're not passionate about your job, we're kicking you out. Like that would be crazy. But it's crazy that that's a thing. I would think that you wouldn't go through all that pain just to sit there for a check. It's bigger than that.
It happens more often than you think it does. And I know the program that you're talking about, I know a program that is. Because I know some teachers who've gone through it. Some of these teachers really are passionate about teaching, but some of these teachers go through their program so that they can get out of the classroom and get into administration, or they want
Mm.
to grow within the district. So they teach for those few years and then they're not in the classroom anymore. So it's a cycle that I believe that should be broken because students aren't, or even for those teachers, they aren't really grasping the full potential of what it's like to be a teacher. But teaching isn't for everybody. So if you know that that's not your goal and that's not what you want to do, then by all means, get what you need to get and get out the classroom. Don't sit and take a spot for a passionate teacher who can be coming in really changing our
Mm.
minds of tomorrow. So you
What
just
would
got
be
to do
your
what you got to do.
philosophy for a passionate teacher?
Uh, you know, right now it's very hard to really have a philosophy as a passionate teacher because, again, you're so afraid of what's gonna happen with being in the classroom. I've had a coworker that passed away this year. I've
Oh,
had,
dang.
those coworkers that have been exposed to COVID, and because we aren't treated great as teachers and we are valued as teachers, we have those great and passionate teachers that are leaving the classroom to go elsewhere where they feel like they're going to be valued and appreciated. So I don't really say I have a philosophy at this moment because sometimes I
You're
feel
in a
like
weird world.
yeah, and I feel like my passion is getting, it's dimming a bit because I don't feel like I have the time to teach with all of the requirements that I have to keep up with. So I feel like it's taking my time away from actually being the teacher that I want to be because I have to do so much paperwork. So that philosophy isn't there right now, but hopefully it comes back.
Well, I would like to think that the passion is the fact that you guys are still out there during something that could pretty much kill you. You know, I would like to think that's a good way to route in passion. I would really like to think that.
Yeah. It's either passion or stupidity. I don't know which one you want to. I don't know what you want to call it. It's one or the other. I mean, am I really passionate or am I just stupid enough to go into work every day and risk killing me and my daughter? You don't know which one it is at the moment. Honestly, it's
Well,
I want to
you
say
need
it's
a
the
drive
passion.
to do things. So, and we'll I think like I always tell a lot of people, it's okay for things to be both that and the other thing.
Hmm.
So it's, and I guess honestly, like one other way to think of it is just think why you decided to be a teacher from the beginning. Like I know for me there was a time where being a teacher was on my list. It was like I think plan H. I'm just gonna say H because of the teacher I wanted to be. I wanted to be a history teacher,
Okay.
and the reason for it is, I mean, I had this one teacher in college, and the way that he was the chillest guy ever. He would literally just go in front of the class, like cross his legs and just tell stories. He would just tell stories. And I thought that was the coolest shit ever. And I just said, you know what? There we go. That's the teacher that I want to do that. I want to just tell history. I thought that would be like the coolest job. And it's crazy cuz going in school, I didn't really care too much for history like that, but then as I got older, it grew on me, and it was something I enjoyed about it. So the passion for just telling stories was always there. And then retelling stories, I don't know, it's something about that. So I guess in a way, what what yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure something sparked in you was like, you know what? I want to teach. What do you think that was?
I'm gonna be completely and utterly honest with you. I never ever wanted to be a teacher in my life. It never crossed my mind because I knew how I was as a student. I was like, if I have to deal with how I was, I would lose my job because I'm whooping kids. 'Cause I just can't deal with the attitude. So I'm just gonna be honest. I wanted to become a teacher. My junior year of college, I started working at Timberland Mental Health Hospital.
Hmm.
Before they shut it down and it got tore down, I was working there as a mental health tech, and I worked on the adolescent unit. Um, Working with the kids, it made me want to better them or help them better themselves.
Mm.
So I graduated college. I went into HR, which is what I got my degree in. I worked in HR for about a year and a half. And then I was like, I don't want to do this. I miss being with kids. I miss, seeing them grow and be better about themselves and helping them to grow. And so I decided to do my alternative certification, and I subbed for about 6 months just to see if this is really what I wanted to do. Is this something I want to do? And I enjoyed subbing. I did elementary, middle, and high school to see where I would fit and what would be best for me. And I realized high school was it because I couldn't do elementary kids. I had a fresh baby. And I can't deal with 30 kids all day and then come home to a kid too. So it's like, yeah, elementary out the door. Middle school kids are great individuals, but they are still learning themselves, and the attitudes were ridiculous. So I said, no, can't deal with them because they're still in a childish mindset, but they want to be grown. So you really can't. There's no middle with them. So I said, no. And I went to a few high schools and I said, okay, yeah, this is what I can do because I can have these conversations with them and they're going to listen, halfway listen, I'll say. They're going to understand what you're saying. And it's like you can get on a level with them that you can't really get with elementary and middle school kids. So I decided to go ahead and just do business because that's what I got my degree in. So I might as well keep doing something with business. I got my teaching certification and it brought me here. Didn't think I would ever be here, but here I am.
Tell me about your experience subbing because I know how students treat subs when I mean because we've all been students before, so we know that when the sub is there, we know that's the perfect day to just be like, "Hey man, I'm not doing a damn thing." So, what was your experience for being a sub?
Listen, I was probably the most chill sub ever. As long as you sat over there, you did whatever it was you was doing. If you weren't doing your work, but you were quiet, we good. Don't be up yelling. Don't be up walking around the classroom. Don't be shouting to your homegirl that's over in the back with your home, but we ain't gonna be sitting up kissing, doing all that. As long as you being respectful of the classroom, I was chill. And I kind of took some of that into the classroom with me. I'm not one of those teachers that's, I'm not gonna let you be yourself. It's not military. I'm not gonna treat you like you in jail. We just
Yeah.
gonna respect the classroom. Ask for permission to get out your seat. Don't just get up because I don't know what you're doing. You can be getting up to do anything. So just
Yeah,
let,
you making my job harder by
yeah, just
throwing random things at me.
be chill about it. If you go sit in class and be on your phone, I just say respect my classroom. If I'm up teaching and we're doing a lecture, don't be on your phone because if somebody's talking to you, you don't want somebody to be sitting on their phone and ignoring you and they're not listening to what you're saying. So have that same respect for me. Like when you are done with your work, I give my kids free time. You done? All right, cool. Go ahead. Just as long as you are quiet, I don't hear you, and you being respectful, we all good.
That's it's crazy is because being a sub when I was always thinking about it when I was younger, it's not like a sub can really do much to get in there and teach the same lesson. Like it's up to the teacher to pretty much have those lesson plans of, hey, this is what you're supposed to show them today, and kind of leave it at that. But that's the middle ground. You just want your kids to be able to respect the person that's there watching
Mm-hmm.
over them while the teacher's away. And it's crazy how like students like if they don't know you, they're just like, you know what, I don't care. Like it's crazy how it's just so easy for a student to get to that mindset and just like, screw this. But I think the concept is crazy anyway. Just think of it like just you're governing over people. You're walking into a room and they're expecting to get some type of instructions from one person. Because
Mm-hmm.
without you, they're pretty much kind of oblivious, just in there, just I don't know, harboring a chaos. It's crazy how that works.
I'm just gonna say teacher substitutes. And this year, I can honestly say I feel like a professional babysitter. Like I'm being paid to babysit students, and I don't want to feel that way most days. But I literally have kids that are telling me I'm only coming into the building because my mama don't want me at home. And so I'm like, so instead of keeping you safe at home, she rather you come into the building, and that's what makes me feel like a professional babysitter because Whatever we're doing in the building, you can really do at home. We're not doing paper. Everything is still online. So when the kids come into the classroom, they're still signing into Zoom. They're still completing their homework and their classwork on the computer. It's a
Mm.
little bit better for those students who struggle because they have their face-to-face time after class is over and I release everyone from Zoom. They have that time to really be face to face, even though we're still not sitting right in front of each other. They just have, I guess, their more private area to ask the questions because I don't have that many kids that come into the building. I think the most in a class that I have is maybe five, and so they just. I just feel like a babysitter because you don't want to be at home or your mom don't want you to be at home, so you just need a person to be looking over you,
Which
and
is crazy
it's
because I wonder if it has something to do with like maybe there's not enough engagement. I don't know because like I've had a conversation with a gentleman who homeschools his kids, and well, first, just and foremost, with that, I'm really considering homeschooling. I really want to get to a very good spot in life to where I can probably be my kids' teacher and help them learn what they need to learn.
mm-hmm.
Because sometimes I don't feel well. Yeah, personally, I just reflecting on what school was for me, then also reflecting on how I know school has been changing over the years. It doesn't feel like it's as engaging or teaching all the things it should be teaching.
um, it's It's not. Because I feel like everybody is teaching for a test instead of
Mm,
teaching to really educate the kids. It's not teaching them the things that they need to know. Like especially for these core subjects because my class is an elective. I have a little bit more leeway in what I can teach. I don't have to stick to a curriculum. Yeah, I have my teaks that I need to hit, but I can cover like marketing for my principal's class. I can do that in different ways. I'm not stagnant in what I can do in teaching it versus these core classes. They pretty much have their curriculum made out for them for the year and they have to stick with that. Like they say, if you have to be on part 5 by week 3, you have to be on part 5 by week 3 because they're going to test those kids and they have to know that information. And
mm.
sometimes you really don't get a chance to assess them and really see where they're struggling at. Some of these teachers are amazing. Some of these core teachers are amazing because I know they go above and beyond with tutoring. And tutoring is so difficult right now because we can't be face to face. So tutoring via Zoom is so terrible. I hate it. I absolutely do. But no, I don't feel like we are teaching the kids the things that I learned in school. I don't feel like these kids are learning it. And
Is there
I,
now the I guess the one of the problems that I see is well, not necessarily because I wonder it's not a problem, it's a question really. The whole idea behind like say for instance, you feel like a student should be learning more. Do they give you the room to do that, or is it just hey, no, you have to go by the book?
like I say, for my class, I have a wide range of things to do. But for these core classes, now I won't say that the curriculum is the same. How you teach it can be different. Like you can use your own manipulatives if you want to. I know there's a couple of teachers that, like the English teachers, don't all teach the same way. They teach in what they feel like is best for their kid.
Mm,
So, we do have those weeks, we call them a flex week where we kind of assess the kids to see where they're at, but because everything is online, some of the kids don't show up. It's not as if we were in class with all of our students where you can assess them in that moment and see what's going on because some of them don't show up. So we don't really know if they're learning what they need to learn. And because we know Google is a wonderful tool for these kids to use. And they can Google a lot of these answers that you're asking them. So sometimes I don't think that they're really learning what they need to learn because they have technology at their hands.
mm. You know, that's it's crazy that you say that because, like, yeah, that experience. You know how remember that age where you remember the phone number?
Uh-huh.
and now it's right there, and it's always there for you. You know, you what's the last number you remember? I know for me, the last number I remember was my old home in the Cliff, and since I don't live there anymore, there's no numbers just right off the bat that I remember anymore, and it's crazy like that. Like I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. You don't. I guess in that case, you would try your darndest to tell the kids, "Hey, you're not gonna really know this if you use Google."
Yeah. And I tell them that all the time. I mean, because my classroom is a computer lab,
Hmm.
the students are terrible with, and I know adults are the same way. You can save your password on your phone for everything. You don't have to remember it. And I have to tell them you can't rely on your phone, because what if your phone breaks and now you have to go and log into your email and you can't even get into your email because your phone broken and you don't know your password.
Yep.
So it happens so often. They forget passwords. I'll say, "Well, I need you to call your mom. I don't know her number." I'm like, "How don't you know your mom's number? That's probably one of the
That's
one
crazy.
things that you should learn is your parents' phone number, so that you know how to contact them in case of an emergency." So it's
That worries me.
they really, kids these days are so blessed and they don't even know it. That they have so much technology in their hands and they don't want to really take the time out to learn it.
We got to figure out how to create a value system for just pure memory again, because it's crazy. Because there's always something. One thing that I do, like when I get in the car and I use Google Maps to go somewhere, I'll
Mm-hmm.
use it going there. But to get back, especially if I don't have anything pressing, I won't use it. So that way I can know how to do it. If I mess up and end up in freaking, I don't know, the other side of Dallas and pop up in Garland or some bull crap, it's just you learn something. You learn, I don't know, it's some value into knowing that you know it for yourself. And
Yeah.
I don't know how do you make that how do you make that sexy again? But it's like yeah, like we got to figure out how to add value into that. I don't know how you teach that to a kid. I just
I don't
I
either.
don't know.
We had those, especially in math. We had those games, those multiplication games, when you would have to come in and you have to solve the multiplication problems in like a minute. They don't do those anymore. Like, they don't really go over spelling with them. Like, I think that's what helped our memory, because we had to know how to spell words. We had spelling tests in the first grade. We had those multiplication problems. We had all of these things for us that were given to us to help build that memory. These kids don't have that. Like, they don't really test them over spelling anymore. Um, so they don't know the value in it, and I have to tell them, they'll ask me how to spell a word, and I hate that I sometimes tell them this, and I'll just say Google it. Like, my my thought would be to say, Google it, because y'all are always on your phone anyway, so why not utilize the technology that you have to its fullest potential? If you know you're struggling with something, Google is a powerful tool. Like,
It's a
it's
gift and a
there.
curse.
Usually, I have to tell myself sometimes, I don't know. My brain has been like mush lately. I'm like, I don't even know how to spell this word. Let me Google it instead of, whatever. I don't know how to make it sexy for these kids. Yeah, I don't know how to. Sometimes I really don't know how to make anything attractive for them, because it's always some new social media that's gonna come out that's gonna grasp their attention. So sometimes I try to incorporate, there's a program called Flipgrid that they can record things and assignments and turn those in. So I try to utilize those platforms. I won't do Instagram. I won't do Snapchat. I won't use any of those. But like those, they have some educational things, but the kids don't want to do that. They want to be on TikTok and they want to do the TikTok dances all day. So I said, you can memorize the TikTok dance. You can memorize, how to spell flower, whatever the word is, you can memorize it. It's just a choice for them and what's important for them.
That's kind of crazy to me because it's I have seen. a lot of teachers trying to stuff certain concepts within TikToks, and I know they use like, hey, here's 1 of 5, and watch this and watch that and watch that,
Mhm.
but it seems like they're leaving out so much information when they're doing it. I don't know. It's weird because you're trying to figure out a way to relay this information to your kid in a way that's so attractive to them, and it's like you have to be with the times in order to do that. And this kind of makes me value those old chalkboard teachers who wouldn't go
Yes.
outside of they're like, I am Susan Parker and I use a chalk and we're gonna stick to that. And it's just it kind of, yeah, it makes you go back to those thoughts and go, you know what, I really like those people that were kind of just stuck in their way about it, especially
Yeah.
with math. Oh, okay. So I don't know if you have to deal with this, but the new math. Do you?
No, I don't have to deal with the new math because I'm not a math teacher. And I am so happy that I do not have to deal with the new math because I absolutely hate it. And, you know, when I can say when I was in school, as long as you got to the answer, no matter how you got to the answer, it was right as long as you showed your work. But now it's like you have to do it their way. And it's so much, it's so many steps. And I'm like, I loved math in school. But if I was a student now, I would hate math. You're not gonna tell me I gotta take 15 steps and I can really answer this question in two. I'm not gonna do all that extra mess. So I'm
I sat down
very
and
happy.
I sat down and tried to well, not relearn. I tried to learn this bullshit concept of how they're teaching it. And okay, so for my opinion on it is you don't do that method unless you see a kid is struggling and you really have to get in there and show them another way on how. It's like, you know how kids learn differently. Some people
Mhm.
might learn by images. Somebody might be I forgot what those things are called, the ways of learning, like
So you're a
reading
visual
memory.
learner. Some people are audio learners, visual. They're kinetic. They have to actually, do things. And I know those because as a teacher, you have to know how your students learn. Which I think virtual is hindering because especially for those kinetic kids are those the visual learners. They're probably doing great right now because everything is visual for them, but you have those audio learners who really just need to listen and not see. They might struggle a little bit. You have those kids that need to write down notes, and I'm one of those people. I like to write things down. That helps me remember. But those kinetic kids that have to move around, they're struggling very much so because sitting on the computer all day, I'm not gonna understand nothing you saying because when I'm bored, I don't want to look at this computer screen all day. I need to burn off my energy some kind of way. So you have to learn as a teacher, especially in the classroom. You have to learn different ways. So either play games. I would do like games like Kahoot or Quizzes. I would even do where I put posters around the classroom and I let them race. If whoever can answer the question the fastest, that's what you have to just differentiate your instruction because if you don't, then somebody's gonna fall behind and
Mm.
they'll never ask. They don't. I've learned this. These students do not like to ask for help. A lot of students don't because they feel like, oh, if I ask for help, somebody's gonna laugh at me.
I always hate, yeah, I hate that personal image that kids haven't figured out how to drop at that early age. I mean, I know it's a struggle. You're trying to figure out how to make your identity look cool amongst your peers. Where I know that's
Yeah,
not the thought process you want to go for. Or you learn that as you get older, but it's like at that time their biggest as a kid, their biggest thing is, I guess, some kind of form of acceptance with their peers, and that's just a weird thing that people go through. But I want the so prior to this virtual experience, and well, actually, while we're there, one of the things that I was wondering why people didn't utilize this more, and I really wish that this would be a cool way for people to start harnessing virtual reality, man, like the things like that new Quest system they got out, this would be the perfect time to get those kids that so they can actually be in the classroom in some kind of form or fashion, but in their own spot. Like that would be one of the dopest things. If they could just put on the VR headset, they're in the classroom, but they're not in the classroom at the same time. Oh, that would be so great.
That
But
is actually not a bad idea. I just don't think that there's money for it.
oh yeah,
So
no, there's never enough money for that kind of crap. It's funny because like, well, at the same time, at one time, somebody was saying that it was never enough money to get people laptops. We just gotta. It's like as it progresses, I feel like we gotta definitely figure out how to make it cheaper so we can get in the classrooms, and that would be great. But prior to all the, I guess, 2020 nonsense, when you were in the classroom and you had to teach these things to kids, did you have a hard time finding out how kids were or how did they learn prior to, and like did they come up and tell you how they learned, and then you would I guess cater to that kid in that kind of fashion, or yeah, I guess how did you pick up on that?
So one thing that I like to do for my classes at the beginning of every year is I have them take a personality test and I have
Mm,
them take a skill set test. And most of the time, the kids don't answer the questions truthfully because they just want to go through and get it done. And I like really encourage them, you guys, do it honestly because you learn a lot about yourself. And also, I can't service you if I don't really know who you are. So
yeah.
that personality test and that skill set test is what really helps me to get to know the kids in the beginning. But as time goes, you kind of catch on to how a kid learns, and you'll catch on to those kids who are getting frustrated. You'll see which ones want to ask for help, but they're too afraid to say it out loud. So you would kind of pull them to the side. Hey, come on up here and sit with me. Start a conversation before, jumping right into it. Do you need help or why aren't you asking for help? Um, it's just, you have to learn your kids. And sometimes that can be a struggle with having 30 kids in a classroom. It's hard because you'll you'll start to cater to certain kids and other kids will start to fall by the wayside. And I noticed that about myself as a teacher, and I
Mm,
would have to tell myself, you can't do that. You can't focus on these kids, but not focus on the others, especially for those kids. Like we call them tier 1, 2, and 3. Those tier 1 kids are the ones that's going to come in and they're going to ask questions. They gonna look at the board and see what you have for them to do. They gonna get the work done. They gonna be finished in 15 minutes. Do you have those tier 2s? They kind of need a little bit of instruction. But once they get the instruction, they catch on and they get the work done. They probably done in about 45 minutes. Do you have
mm,
those tier 3s that they don't? It don't matter what you do. They're not gonna be motivated to do the work. You're just gonna have to constantly be on top of them. And a lot of times, teachers focus on those tier 3s because you don't want them to fall behind. All right, most of the time, those are the problematic kids. So you're telling them, little Johnny, sit down, stop running across the classroom, stop and get down your seat, put your cell phone up. You can't talk to him right now. We take you. You're constantly focusing on those kids. So the tier 1s kind of fall by the wayside, and you have to catch yourself. I would have to catch myself all the time as a teacher and say, okay, well, today I'm not focusing on Lil Johnny. Lil Johnny just gonna have to come in here and do his work, and that's just what it's gonna be. Today I'm gonna
mm.
focus on Ashley. I don't talk to Ashley as much in class because she come in, she do what she gotta do, and I ain't really gotta say nothing to her. So today I'm gonna pull Ashley aside and I'm gonna focus on her. I'm gonna see what's going on in her life. And a lot of teachers don't do that too. You sometimes you learn how they learn, but you also have to learn them personally
Yeah,
because
they're humans too.
uh yeah, you have to know what's going. You have to know your kid because if Ashley is she's having a great, I would never have to talk to her. She good, but but this week she done came in and her attitude is trash. She talking back. She cussing out other people in the classroom. You have to pick up on that. Okay, something's wrong. So let me see what's going on with Ashley and see what I can do to help her. And that's why I say, as a teacher, you're not a teacher. Sometimes you're a mom, you're a counselor. You don't want to say a friend, but you want to be a confidant because you want your kids to learn from you, and they're not gonna learn from somebody they don't feel like they can trust.
Yeah, yeah. Because you're right. Your goal at the end of the day is to be able to teach these kids something that will, well, not only motivate them to keep learning, but also, well, yeah, actually, yeah, you're trying to teach them to keep learning in some form or fashion, and and it's crazy that you have to basically get to know this. You gotta. It's kind of like when you meet a new person, have a new conversation with them. You gotta literally peel back these layers so
Mm-hmm.
that you guys can have the real conversation. That actually, it's funny. I was saying this with a brother of mine, and it's the whole thing where you gotta the small talk. I used to just get so crazy and. I was frustrated every time someone wanted to throw small talk at me. I hated talking about the weather, but you know, small talk is what you do so you can get to the big talk. And the
Yeah.
same way with the actions, you do the little small actions so you can get to the big actions. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you do the little video game with the kids. You watch that movie with them, so that way you can then get to that next part where you're teaching them. It's crazy how that works. I
Yeah.
I I wonder about tier 3 students, and because like I just know from just the experiences I've had growing up through life, the most of the time a tier 3 student, I'm saying it like I know exactly what a tier 3 student is, but just a problematic child, there's always something in the background that seems to be going on with them. And I don't know how you tackle that per se, other than, hey, little Johnny, um, let's go to the counselors, or let's go meet your parents, or like I it's like there's it comes a point where it feels like there's only so much you can do. And I do understand that, like, it's weird because there's a little line, if a student doesn't want to learn, you've been trained to feel like, hey, get the hell out of my classroom if you don't want to learn. It's the place of learning, and if you
Yeah.
don't learn, that's on you. This is some form of fashion, like kind of like a business. If you want to work, you work. If you don't want to work, then that's you have to want to get up and get it. So it's where where does a teacher draw the line? Because I know some teachers, they if they know a problematic child is the way that they are, they'll drive up to their house and they'll be in their yard with the book. I know that's like that nowadays, that'll get your ass fired. But like, it's just like the teachers themselves, like, like, have you seen what's that movie we all watched about the teacher, the little teacher, she comes, the Freedom Riders, is this Freedom
Yeah.
Riders?
Yeah. Freedom Riders.
Yeah, the devoted teacher that's out there in the gang with you. No, but
No, I think I understand what the question you're asking. I'm gonna be honest. This school to prison pipeline is real. And as a teacher, for me especially, because I'm working with in a predominantly black school, I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure that you're not about to go to prison, or you not about to graduate, go out here do some stupid, and then you in jail. Or I really want to stop you from being 6 feet under.
yeah.
I'm very grateful that I have not ever had to attend a student's funeral. But I can't say the same for some other teachers. So there's not really a line that you can cross as a teacher when you say you're unteachable, because there is no such thing as a kid that's unteachable. You just have to learn how to teach them in their way. Sometimes you might not be able to do that in that year. It might not happen for you. It might be another teacher, and that's why building that relationship with the kids is important. And then have relationships with the other teachers, because I might not be able to help Johnny, but he has a great relationship with his English teacher. I might be able to go to
mm,
her, and she can help me get to him. You're not gonna have a great relationship with all your kids. It's never gonna be like you're gonna have those students that come in and they absolutely hate your guts. It don't matter what you do. They gonna hate your guts until the day that they get up out your classroom, and that's fine. If I ain't hated by somebody, I ain't doing it the right.
You know, it's
So
great that you say that because that just reminded me of the whole concept of it takes a village, and that's pretty much what's going on there. Like I like that. I like that a lot. I never really thought about it like that. When you know, it's like that's what that teachers lounge is for, man. That's those conversations. You never know. They'll probably be in that mud saying, "Man, I'm having a hard time with such and such," and then the teacher across from you is like, "Oh, really? You just gotta throw them an orange and they be flipping shit all day." No, but
no, and it's really like that. You have those kids, like I have the teachers on my hallway. I am very grateful for them. I love our hallway is so chill because we talk to each other, but we also share some of the same students. So they'll be like, Johnny is bad in my class. I don't know how to get to him. Oh, sometimes you gotta talk to Johnny a little crazy. They understand their language. You just gotta don't cuss them out, but you gotta be like, boy, if you don't get this work done, it's gonna be me and you in the parking lot at 3 o'clock. You can't say that too loud though, because you
yeah,
don't want it.
yeah,
Because that's the relationship I have with Johnny. So I can say that to Johnny, and Johnny is gonna know that I'm not being serious. We're just playing
yeah,
around. But you can't do that with all your kids because you say that to the wrong student, they're gonna be like, "Oh, she's threatening to beat me up in the parking lot at 3 o'clock." So
yep. And that's
your
it's
situation.
crazy how that works because you got to live by the book nowadays. You can't everyone. It's like that crazy thing about how back in the day you couldn't whoop your kid or discipline them in some kind of form of fashion because everyone wanted to put their 2 cents in and whatever.
Yeah.
Or and it's just like, yo, if this is our understanding, and it's crazy because it's kind of branched in so many different levels. But in my head, but point being is, a lot of people want things to be a certain way, but when you start throwing humans in the mix, that's when it starts getting all over the place, and just you can't. I had a teacher. Her name was Miss Bob. She was a business teacher
I know it's
at
Bob.
Townview.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and her style of teaching was direct and in your shit, and you know that's what you needed. She was trying to
Yeah.
get you the concept of, and I love that she was that gateway of entry for that because she was freshman and she had another class too. But the point is, she was teaching. She was there to mold these new kids that are coming through the door to, hey, this is the rest of your life. She was there to give you that last punch in your chest so you could
Mm-hmm.
either wake up or realize that you're probably gonna fail. But but even with that, she didn't even it wasn't even like a failed thing. She got in your stuff to make sure you needed what you needed. And it's I mean shit, you need that. You need that. That's how you do it. I don't know exactly how you do that virtually, but it's just
Sometimes you
it's
just have to like in these zooms, and and again virtually it sucks sometimes because parents be in the background and you like, dang, I can't say what I really want to say to this kid because then I don't want to have to use it with their mama. But some of my kids' parents are great. They amazing. Like you tell them that Johnny acting up in class, she finna get a Johnny shit right there. You hear Mama punching them through the phone, doing all this other stuff. So she'll tell you, just talk to him crazy. Then you have those parents. Everybody encounters that parent. Oh, my child don't do nothing wrong. It ain't my child. It's you. All of that. So I mean, those teachers are very, very, very much needed. Those ones that's gonna tell you, look, you don't get your shit together, you definitely gonna fail. And you have to have those real life talks with those kids. Even if you don't say it in that way, you have to break it down to them like, look, everything in life is not gonna be given to you. You have to at some point take responsibility for your stuff. So you
yeah.
gotta just have those real life conversations with them. Virtually is sometimes not possible, but you just gotta do what you gotta do in the best way that you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Ah, I'm really hoping that the virtual gets to die down soon. I mean, especially if we're not going the full mile and we're putting these headsets on people.
Yeah,
But
I don't
it's a
know.
it's a it's a trying time. I what would you say would be your hardest moment if you well I guess share it in a way so you don't give things away. What has been your hardest moment though within this time period?
Oof, okay, I just gotta be again. I have to be careful how I say this. Um, I feel like the kids aren't really learning the information, and that we're just um giving them a passing. We're just passing students, to keep the heat off of our backs as teachers, because you fail a certain amount of kids, then they look at you and they're asking, are you doing your job? And you can't be doing your job if students just aren't doing their work, or they're not showing up to school, or
Mm,
they come to class but they aren't engaged. It doesn't matter what you do. You can show a video, you can tell them get up and do 5 jumps, and they just don't want to do anything. Um, so in order to keep our jobs and keep the big people off our back, we're passing our students. And I feel like that's the biggest struggle for me, because I don't want to give somebody credit that wasn't earned. Because when they get into the real world, they're going to expect, oh, well, I did the bare minimum, so I should get my full benefits. You can't be, I don't even want to put it like this, but you can't do the work like a desk job but expect to be getting CEO money. You know
mm.
what I'm saying? And that's the mind. I feel like that's the mindset that we're giving these kids. So that'll
That is
be.
scary, and I don't, and it was crazy because that's been the thought in the back of my head. If you got what's going on right now, I can only imagine how many classrooms, and not to mention if you get a teacher that doesn't give a shit. Ah,
You know, honey, it's you have a couple. You have a couple of them. It's just like, oh, you came to class today, 100. You said hello in the Zoom, you get a 100,
yep.
because it, you don't want to fear for your job, because they're gonna question, are you really teaching? And so if you have the certain amount of kids that are failing, they're gonna start looking at you under a microscope. Or are you doing everything that you're supposed to do as a teacher? And you don't want that light on you. And I mean, that's not a negative thing, because the majority of the time, yeah, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, but it's just nobody wants to be under a microscope. Nobody wants to be micromanaged. Nobody wants to go through that. So that is, the paperwork and not being able to teach the way I want to teach, that those two would be the hardest things for me right now.
How would you want to teach?
I love, engaging with my students. I love to sit in the classroom. I lecture for a while. And then I let them go on about themselves. I like to play games with my kids. I like to see them, create posters, get their hands dirty, show me what you learned in the best way that you can. Like I'm that type of teacher. I want to sit and I want to look at a video in the classroom, and you tell me how you understood that video, and if it was funny to you, and it's real funny to hear it. Sorry, my daughter wanted a bag of chips because she starving, and so you hear me rattling in the background. So I apologize. Um, I like to laugh. Like I love to laugh with my kids. Like, come on, let's have a good time. No, I like the personal, the connection that you get with your kids. The
Hands
person.
on. You like
Yeah,
being you're a kinetic teacher.
yeah, I am. I really am. I like to, see how you learn it. I want to be there. And sometimes, even that physical touch is really one of my love languages. And I know that sounds weird, because it's not like I like to touch my students. That's not what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just like, when your students can come up to you and they say, "Hey, Miss Douglas," or like, even when I have those kids who like, "You my favorite teacher," or "I'm your favorite student," And we joke around, and I say, I don't have no favorites. I dislike y'all all the same. But they know I'm not. I'm not serious. I tell them, out there, I love y'all. I want y'all to be the best people that y'all can be. But I'm gonna tell y'all, I'm gonna dislike y'all all equally because I don't want nobody to feel special.
Yeah.
So we just, and even it's like that them giving you a high five or a fist pump or getting a little hug or dap, whatever. That connection with them is important for me because sometimes those kids don't get that connection at home. They don't
Yeah.
get that physical touch. They ain't never had nobody hug on them. They don't have somebody ask them how their day is going. So I hate this so much. But I mean, it's the easiest year I've ever had because I don't have to deal with 30 kids who all have different opinions and want to yell about something. We ain't dealing with any fights.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
This it's like there's its perks, but we have all recognized the mal attributes when it comes from this. But it's yeah. Uh, you know, the one of the conversations that brought us into this just having this meeting in the first place was you were talking on, you remember the concept of like saying how school is a business, and honestly from this conversation I can tell it's more than that to you. It's, of course, yes, school is a business, but I can tell just the way that you care about, I can hear how you care about your students. So I know that even if you say it's a business, you feel that passion behind it
oh
to
yeah.
that overrules that. But for your thoughts for school being a business, what is your thoughts for that?
I feel like it really is a business, because if the parents aren't happy, they're gonna come up and they're gonna raise hell. And it's gonna go down the pipeline from the principal on down to you. And it's like my students are my customers, so I have to service them and make sure that they're getting what they need. What they need. Yes, their parents are there, but I'm gonna be quite honest. My job isn't to serve the parent; it's to serve my student. I know that you want your kid to have something the right way because that's what you feel like is best for them sometimes. But sometimes what the parents feel like is best for the kids isn't always best for them. So it's a it's a business in that we serve our community. We're serving. We
Yeah.
want to make things right for them. We get those complaints. We want to be respectful for our students. So like if they're and I know like I kind of made that correlation with the whole True Kitchen situation. Like I'm not gonna ask my students, 3 times to stop getting up and walking out of my classroom. The first time I'm gonna have a conversation with you, we're gonna step into the hallway, we're gonna have this conversation. It's gonna be a one-on-one thing. Second time, I'm gonna remove you from the situation and then call parent, call mom, call dad, what's going on, because they don't want to stay in class. So what's going on? After that, that's a write-up. You're getting a referral. And I don't like to write referrals because again, that school to prison pipeline is real. I don't want you to feel like this is a
Mm,
military. I don't want you to feel like you're in jail. I don't want you to feel like that at all. But again, we're gonna have respect for each other. So as a business owner, or even I would say I'm a manager, as a manager, I'm gonna expect for you to be a customer and come in and be respectful of my
yeah.
classroom. But if you're not gonna be respectful of my classroom, I'm going to remove you from the situation.
Yeah.
So that's how I can put that.
Well, I get it, and I love the idea behind the students are your customers. Therefore, it's up to you to give them, they're the product. The product is learning. The product is that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cool way to look at it. It's a cool way to look at it. I mean, it's because it's both the village and it's
Yep.
that because they're sending these students there with we're sending them there with the desire for them to come back smarter, able to go out into the world.
Mm-hmm. And that's the goal. And that's what the goal should be, at least. Instead of trying to get them prepared for a test, we need to be preparing them for the real world. Whether it's they're going to go to college, whether they want to go to military, whether they just want to go and work for their dad because he has a business, whether they want to, whatever it is that they want to do, we need to prepare them for it. And I don't feel like we prepare students for the real
Mm.
world. And again, our 10-year or my 10-year reunion is coming up. So I'm like, in 10 years, school has changed so much. It is nothing like it was when I was in high school. Like junior year, even if I'm not even gonna say but town you in itself, but I know other schools, junior, senior year, there we gotta apply for college. You have to have an application
Yeah.
done. That's a requirement for you. It was requirements for us now. It's not necessarily a requirement for them. They don't have to apply to a college. They have the Dallas Promise Pledge, which I think that is a graduation requirement, which they only have to apply to a community college though. But some of the kids don't even want to utilize that. That's free. That's a free associate's degree. You don't have to pay for nothing. So,
Wow. Oh, so tell me a little bit more about that. I did not know anything about this. The as far as
so
or anything close to that was I remember deciding schools. There was, of course, there was Skyline, there was Townview, and then there was like Dallas Can, who pretty much prepped their kids to have, an associate's degree when they graduated. I didn't know they introduced something like that within the schools. Please tell me more about that. Is it the
oh,
Dallas Promise Plan?
it's the Promise Plan. Yeah. So it's we have those early colleges, which we had a couple of early colleges when we were in high school, but they aren't as spread out as they have them now. You have a lot of most campuses at this point. Yes. Okay, I'm sorry. Most campuses have an early college on them. Um, so kids are graduating with their associates and their high school diploma, or they might graduate with a certificate in like HVAC or construction or something along the lines of that. Plus, they get their high school degree. Now, the Promise Pledge is for those kids that are on the comprehensive side. They're not in early college. Um, what it does is so when they graduate, they go to Dallas Community College, either one, any one of them. It doesn't matter, and they get their associate's degree for free. And then I believe that they're trying to expand it. I think UNT Dallas is part of it, Commerce, and
Mm-hmm.
I think UTSA, where they're trying to expand from the community level, the community college level, into the university level. So they don't have to pay for anything as long as they keep their GPA, I think, at a 3.0. They can pretty much get their bachelor's for free and
That
not have to
is
pay anything.
awesome. That
Hmm.
is awesome. And so it's crazy because, you know, when you're in the world of, I guess, now or you're an adult or whatever, and you come back from when we were in school, you're out here arguing with everyone going, we want free college. And
Yeah.
listen to that. There you go. I mean, I know the way to do it is you got to keep your GPA up, but that would then inspire kids to, maybe want to do that a little bit more. That's
Hmm.
it's crazy. I like that. I like that idea a lot. I didn't know this, so thank you for teaching me something new today.
No problem. I love the Promise Pledge, and I tell my kids, but again, everybody doesn't want to go to school, and I get that. I'm
Yeah,
never gonna tell the kids, school is the only way you're gonna make money because that is definitely not true.
yeah,
If you know you don't want to go to school, I'm going to encourage you to at least go get a certification in something. Go do HVAC, be a dental hygienist, be a CNA. Go get a cert in anything so that you can make that money because it's some HVAC people that are making more than me as a teacher. You have plumbers that are making me more than
yeah.
a teacher.
Teach some trades.
You can go be an airplane pilot, airplane mechanic. They make great money, and all you're doing is like a 9-month program, and you make it almost 6 figures going into the field. So there's other things out here that you can do, but I feel most schools are just drilling college into kids, and it's not the
Yeah,
same as when we were. I feel like even for us, college wasn't for everybody, and I feel that we should have had those other options given to us because didn't really know anything about trades graduating from high school. All I knew was college, to be honest. So that's what I did. If I had known I could have went in and did a different way, I probably would have.
You know what's crazy about that? From my just from just all of this stuff that's I've had after school, my experience, um, like college's one biggest thing that I've learned from it is it's just the relationships, the meeting people, the
Yes.
knowing people. Outside of that, I mean, yes, you can learn more, but
Hmm.
if you know how to use your computer, you can learn all that crap on your own. And
True.
it's just that's the one benefit for college. And honestly, and then letting someone else that's hiring you know you can follow instructions. I know a lot of people say that, but that's kind of like the truth behind it. It lets people know, hey, you can follow instructions.
And I
And
think that's true.
I'm ready to see a world that kind of gets back into, hey, every individual student learns differently.
Hmm.
Every student wants to do something outrageously probably different amongst all of them.
Hmm.
And I know that you got to fit the lines of what you're trying to teach them, but there needs to be something that really gets into it and caters to the students. Like when you were telling me about the idea of how there's tier students and teachers can recognize tier students, and then you're learning how each student learns. I know it's costly, but it would be nice if a teacher had, I don't know, some form of tutors that specialize in the different styles. So you can
Hmm.
grab this couple of kids, send them over there, and like yeah, it's a lot of stuff you could do. But I don't like. Well, of course, right now we got COVID, so we're just trying to figure out how can we attempt to give these kids the regular curriculum. But it's I'm sitting here babbling and running in a tangent because I'm pretty sure somebody else has these thoughts. I just wonder, how do you get it implemented as a teacher? Like, how do you even go about that? How do you get those kind of things changed?
I'm gonna be quite honest. I have no idea because I've known teachers that have very great ideas that'll help a school, and they don't really listen. Um, Especially in a school district, it's really about who knows you. It's like getting a job. So you can they have opportunities for people that go and do trainings. If you feel like this is something that you're passionate about, you can do a training on it. But it usually starts at the campus level. If you're not, if those ideas and thoughts aren't heard on your campus, they're not gonna go beyond those four walls of
Mm,
that building. Um and you have to have that support from your administration. And there's a bunch of different ideas that teachers can really give, but when you don't have support, it doesn't go anywhere. And sometimes you might have the support, and it still just gets knocked down because that's not the direction that the district wants to go,
mm.
or we don't have the money for that.
Yeah.
It's always about money.
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say that crap. I hate that that's the case. It's always about money, or well, honestly, it's also tech too. You could just get the tech to these people. That would be the other thing. But it's crazy because it's always the resources at the end of the day. Who's gonna tell you no? And it's crazy. It's crazy. That's always how it gets bogged down.
yeah, and I don't feel like that we don't have the money for the resources. I mean, as a business, and the district is a business in itself as well. You don't want to spend all your money on things. You want to be able to keep some money in your account just in case something happens. You have a rainy day savings fund. I get that. I understand that. Sometimes you have to reach into that fund to be able to make sure all of your kids have access to everything.
Mm,
With the hotspots, because some of these kids don't have internet at home.
yeah.
They some of them don't even have electricity at home. So when you say that you're gonna make sure that all kids have a hotspot, you got to keep that word because some of these parents are relying on the resources that we get from the district. They needed
Yeah.
those Chromebooks. They can't afford it. Some parents have 3, 4 kids. They can't afford to go out and get 3, 4 laptops for all their kids so that they can be able to get their work done. So the Chromebooks were a great resource for these kids. It's amazing. I love they were able to do that. But you can't give a Chromebook and not provide the internet for the kids also.
Yeah. Yep. There was a was in College Station, I believe. And the kids had it was an Apple laptop, and it was cool because the way that it worked, I don't know exactly how it worked, but the internet was built in the computer. And
Okay.
they gave those out for the kids, and I thought that was always amazing that they did that. Of course, it costs money. But
Yeah.
it's just it's. I know that there's a way. I really, I really want to come back one another episode and talk to you about that, like other ways to get that kind of stuff doing. Because I have thoughts on PTA, and I'm getting ready to close the episode,
Okay.
and um, but I had a blast talking to you today, and I just have thoughts that I wonder, how you can implement more things within a classroom, connecting more teachers and more ideas. And there's another style of show that I have on here. It's called a squad cast. And after I get enough teachers on board, I would love to have you all come together and discuss different ideas and see if you guys can come up with some fancy idea to make teaching kids better all together.
Oh, I will definitely be up for that. That is something that most teachers we kind of get around in the school and kind of talk to each other. We can't do that now because of COVID, but sitting in the teachers' lounge in the morning or even on lunch sometimes, we have those conversations. So it'll be nice to hear from teachers at other districts or even at other campuses to see what benefits them. We try to get together with other teachers as often as possible because what works for them might work for me, it might not work for me, but just to have that as a resource or just to have that information given to you is going to always be beneficial.
Well, when I get it set up, I will definitely send you the contact so that way we can make it happen. And hopefully we can see something or create something that does help students, because I don't want this year of virtual teaching to be sluggish for kids or make
Mhm.
them less of what they really could be. When if virtual reality was utilized the best way it could be, you could you could really get some things done. It'd be cool if something like a podcast would get someone interested in, handing those headsets out to a bunch of kids so they can
Yeah.
actually be in a classroom in a virtual environment and be able to not just sit there but
Hmm.
interact with people in that space. That would be a beautiful thing. But I
People
am
in the
I
community. Oh, go ahead. I'm
oh,
sorry.
no, go ahead. I don't
No,
need
I
to be
was
the
just
one
gonna
talking a lot.
say. No, I was just gonna say. People in the community don't really realize how much they can help kids just by talking to them, because sometimes they don't want to hear from the teacher. They be like, "Oh, the teacher, she lying. She just telling me this because she got to tell me that." But when they hear it from someone else, especially someone from their community, it starts to click in their mind. So if at any point anybody wants to they want to come and do a guest speak in my classroom, I'm all for it. You want to do a presentation, please do, because some of these kids don't go outside of Oakcliff. All they know is Oakcliff. They
Mm.
probably ain't never even seen what downtown look like. They don't know what Plano look like. They don't know what they've never been outside of Oak Cliff. So for someone to come in and give them a different perspective, it's amazing. And they're just like, nah, that ain't how it is. And you telling them, yes, it is. So I'm out for it. Please, somebody come in and talk to them.
Well, thank you for sharing your time today. I am going to drop the bot
Okay.
and stay on. I got a couple of questions to ask you.